Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Prof. Dr. Sallahuddin bin Hassan. We are from group number 7 are going to present about our assignment group paper project. My name is Aiza Atiqah Binti Muhamad Aznan and my metric number is 265078. Firstly is introduction, background of the study. Malaysia's speciality with well-structured higher education system provides students with the chance to pursue a university or local and international. Higher education in Malaysia can be said to be at an excellent level, which has greater than 30 years of expertise in foreign education, and also Malaysia is home to over 100 private and public universities. The government of Malaysia spends around 5% its GDP on education, which is above the world and regional average, as a way to demonstrate the country's highest regard for it. Besides, the Higher Education Leadership Academy (AKEPT) has been constructed by government to create a strong skill flow for institutions of higher education, producing greater university and professor equally, while also assuring supportive policy governance. Based on official statistics in Malaysia, the latest unemployment rate in Malaysia is 4.8% on February 2021. One of the causes of increased unemployment rate in the country is due to composition of the workforce, including those overtaken by technologies or those unable to acquire employment based on lack of particular skills. Also, COVID-19 outbreak, which has restricted the whole country movement, is also a factor that caused the increasing of unemployment rate. With that 4.88 percentage unemployment rate in Malaysia, students are also one of the groups affected by it. Nearly 60% of the graduates in Malaysia remain unemployed even after 1 year of the graduation period. Before this pandemic happened, these graduates were already hired at a smaller level. It is a loss for a country when skills are not completely used to their full potential. When the COVID-19 epidemic strikes in the first quarter of 2020, this issue brought the world to light even more the fate of students after graduates to find work. Number 2 is problem statement. There is a problem between unemployment and higher education, which is the unemployment rate is increasing between higher education. Graduates who have to pay study debts such as PTPT and fees and so on after graduate will burden them. Basic salary that is not in line with their eligibility is also one of the factors. Government should be concerned about this matter so that the unemployment rate in our country can be reduced. Among them is that the government needs to help developing companies by providing a lot of assistance so that they can hire more workers in the future. Research question. The first one is there an increased rate of unemployment associated with higher education? Is there any reasonable evidence that all independent variables are significant and are all independent variables contribute to the unemployment of higher education? Objective of the study, we have 5 objectives of the study, which is to study the relationship between unemployment rate with cost of university, education spending, GDP per capita, manufacturing output, and federal aid of revenue.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I will like to present about 2.0 about literature review and 3.0 about methodology. So we go first to the 2.0 literature review. Okay. First of all, the majority of study look the connection between the education and economic growth. There are numerous factors that contribute to the higher rate employment among the Malaysian fresh graduate. According to Hanapi and Nordin 2013, one of the factors contribute to Malaysian graduate employment is a lack of excellence. A significant number of Malaysian employees have a negative proportion of graduate and have stated that they graduate lack the necessary skill and qualification required by the industry. Furthermore, the graduate fail to demonstrate the great work performance and are lacking in employability skill. From my research, the previous study found the new graduate lack employment skill, lack of knowledge of English and communication skill, and are extremely selective of work, while at the same time expecting a better pay is the biggest reason of new graduated employment. The higher education is one of several kind of education at post-secondary school and generally provide a graduation diploma or certificate higher education at completion of a period study. So next we go to 3.0 about meteorology. Okay, first of all, we can go to 3.1 about theoretical framework. Our project theoretical framework is based of the journal article The Savannah Horner, Atenaza, and the Medellin for long, ECON 3161 fall 2018, which state that all the independent variable have positive relationship to positive relationship on the dependent variable. This we can look from the slide. Our dependent variable is about Malaysia employment rate. Our independent variables is higher education, Malaysia growth spending, Malaysia GDP per capita, average cost of university in Malaysia, Malaysia manufacturing output, federal aid revenue in Malaysia. Now we go to the model data estimate method. For our project, we are using EView model. For the data estimated, we state one dependent variable, which is Malaysia employment rate, state by y1, and have 5 independent variable, which mean 3 of interest variable and 2 control variable. So the independent variable is Malaysia education spending with S1, Malaysia GDP per capita S2, average of university in Malaysia S3, Malaysia manufacturing output S4, and lastly the federal revenue SF5. So we can look as the formula Y1 equal to beta non plus beta 1 S1, beta 2 S2, beta 3 S3, beta 4 S4, beta 5 S5 plus error. So we go to 3.3 justification of variable. All the data for the dependent variable and independent variable has been collected from the in-depth Moody data of Malaysia, Department of Statistics Malaysia, DOSM, and other. All the variable data already state in the source, and our group just take 30 years of the data as a observation, and the arrange is by following the number of variable. Next we go about 3.4 about the data collection and sampling method. All the variable data was collected based on the years basis, around about 30 year for our number observation. We started from 1989 to 2019. All the variable data is stated in the table of the data collection by using the sampling method that following by category of variables that are 1 dependent and 5 dependent variable. This is our data. This is our independent variables, and this our years. Next we go to the 3.5 method of analysis. For our group project, we use a lot of method analyze all the result in regression model that will be found by using EView application. So this EView application is very good because it will give the efficient and very accurate result. For the regression model, we use multiple regression model because it involves more than one dependent variable, which a higher education Malaysia government spending, SES, Malaysia GDP per capita GDP, average cost of university in Malaysia ACU, Malaysia manufacturing output MMO, lastly federal aid of revenue FAR. So we have compute only one type of regression model which is all independent variable are involved in it. The ordinary least square LS is used as the estimator since it fulfill all the of the conventional linear regression model assume or the blue estimated baseline base linear and regression method. We also use the Bin Western test to prove this is autocorrelation integration, and we also use Bruce Pagan test to prove heterogeneity, and lastly we include variance inflation factor to test multi-correlative problem. Next, okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To our lecturer, Professor Dr. Sallahuddin. My name is Luqman Danish Romli. My matric number 264154. Okay, today I want to present the result for the data analysis in our group project. Okay, the first one, we go to the data estimated. This table for the descriptive and statistic for the all the variables. Okay, for the first variable is unemployment rate. For the first variable is dependent variable is unemployment rate. So the result mean median acceleration show that there is low values. Okay, the other variable is for the independent variable. The first one is for higher education spending in Malaysia, GDP per capita, average cost university in Malaysia, federal aid revenue in Malaysia, and last one national monetary approach. So next we go to the covariance analysis. So this from the reviews, we state that the unemployment rate, which the unemployment rate, the result will get 1. So this also same as the other independent variable, also gets 1. So next we go to the estimated equation coefficient. We estimate the equation coefficient by using the ordinary least square methods or S. So this is upon the reviews. Okay, this as we can see, this is the result for the coefficient. I will explain two only. Okay, for the first one, as higher education spending, the coefficient is negative 0.039. So we can see that the relationship between HES, which the unemployment rate, is negative or negative relationship. So this means that when higher education spending is increased by 1%, the UR unemployment rate will decrease negative 0.03839. So the next we go to the GDP, the coefficient is 1.85. So this means that the GDP, the relationship GDP which the UR is positive relationship, which means that when the GDP increase by 1%, the UR also will increase 1.85. So this is same as the SEU positive relationship and MAO negative and FAR negative relationship. So next we go to the coefficient correlation. So this is the formula that we use. From the result show that the rule of thumb coefficient of correlation are equal to 0.33, which means that it is greater than 0.4 or negative 0.4. So there is a strong correlation between the dependent variable unemployment rate and our independent variable in our models. So next we go to the overall significance. So this is from the review results. So this is for our hypothesis statement. From the tables 2, we can see that the overall significance is under the F statistic, which means equal to 3.340. After that, we using the 5% as the critical value to look at the F distribution table at 430. So for the N1, we using the 4, the degree of freedom, 4 minus 1 equal to 3, and for N2, 26. So we find the critical F value in the F distribution table is equal to 2.9752. So which the result, the F statistic equal to 3.34, which means that greater than F critical equal to 3.975. And we have enough evidence to reject rational. The test is statistically significant at the level of significance, and we conclude that at least one of independent variables significantly affect the Malaysia unemployment rate. So next we test for autocorrelation problem which using the Bin Watson test. So this is a table for the graph for the calculation. So this is for the hypothesis statement that we state. So this is the result for the review. Okay, from table 3, the show the dropping Watson state is 0.19116. We will compare it by refer to the result from the Watson table, which is at n31 and k is equal to 4, because we have the equal to 4 because the variables constant is 5 minus 1 you get 4. So we look at the Dublin Watson table 31 and 4 1.160 and 1 point for the lower case and 1.70 for the high case. So next the result show that the Dublin Watson state is 0.16, which means that it is lower than 1.16 of the lower critical. So from that we reject null hypothesis of no autocorrelation and conclude that there is first order autocorrelation in variable in our models. So next we test for heteroscedasticity problem, which we're using Brace-Pagan test. So this is for the hypothesis statement that we state. So this is the result from the review. Okay, from the table, show the value of this chi-square statistic is 8.82, and then the F value is 1.989. When we compare with the critical value from F station table, which is 2.9752, and it shows that F value is lower than critical value 1.98, lower than 2.975. After that, for corresponding p value, the value is 0.160 and 0.115. So, and which is respectively greater than significant 0.05. So we fail to reject the null hypothesis of the heteroscedasticity problem at the significant level 5%. Then the test show that this is statistically is significant. So we accept the error term is homocharacteristic. Lastly, we conclude that our model is homocharacteristic, which means that there is no heteroscedasticity problem in our estimation model. So last, we test for the detecting multicollinearity problem by using variance inflecting factors VIF. So this is for the formula, and this is for the review. We using the variable inflection vector. Okay, from table 5 show the result of for VRI. As you can see, that the VIF value of all variables is greater than 1. As you can see, 1.07, 131, 11. So which means that there is multicollinearity problem is existing in our model. So to remedy of this multicollinearity problem, our group will provide the new data of variable or getting an additional data to solve the problem. So the reason why our model is getting multicollinearity problem is because, as you can see, that the data for the GDP per capita is a very high value with the SEU. So we can conclude that these two variables must be changed by the variable that only use the percentage. That's all from me. Thank you.
And lastly is number 5, which is our conclusion. Our conclusion is, based on our project above, we can conclude that all the independent variable, which is cost of university in Malaysia, Malaysia education spending, Malaysia GDP per capita, Malaysia manufacturing output, and Malaysia federal aid of revenue are having a strong impact on the Malaysia unemployment rate, which is our dependent variable. When we estimate the equation coefficient by using ordinary least square method, OLS, cost of university and GDP per capita shows a negative relationship, while education spending, manufacturing output, and federal aid of revenue shown a positive relationship with the dependent variable. Next, we are using a coefficient of correlation formula, and it shows is a strong correlation between the dependent variable. After that, for the part of overall significance, the result shows at least one of our independent variables significantly affects our dependent variable. Next is we are testing the autocorrelation problem by using Durbin-Watson test, which we have the reject null hypothesis, and there is first order autocorrelation in the variables of the model. To test for the heteroscedasticity problem, we are using the Bruce-Pagan test, and we accept the error term is homoscedasticity because the test showed that is statistically insignificant. Lastly, we are using variance inflation factor to test for detecting multicollinearity problem, and our data shows that multicollinearity problem is exists. That's all from us. Thank you so